Here we go, episode 147 of The Hardline. Michael Merlo, John Michael Masiri here with you. I am back after a week off, and we have a new little backdrop here, looking great here.
This is actually where we are. This is our background.
We're outside.
Outside right now.
We're outside. No, we're not.
I actually have no idea where that is.
Why do I want... No, it's not.
I think it is Long Island, though.
I was going to make a casual take and say San Francisco, but then I re-looked at the bridge again, and it looks nothing like...
I'm pretty sure that's the Robert Moses Bridge, actually.
Is it really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the Robert Moses Bridge.
You got to confirm that.
We're geniuses.
You have to confirm that.
Yeah, I think so.
Either way, we'll confirm that. I am back. Very nice to be
Mike.
back. Joe did a great job in my absence. It's been a lot of baseball in our lives for the past couple of weeks. My season's over. JM is still going strong with the Yankees, but our football teams are complete duds.
Yeah.
I mean, our football teams give us nothing to look forward to.
Just when we thought, our baseball teams are doing well, things are starting to turn around. They were like, football.
The football
here to humble you.
The football is still bad in New York, even with Aaron Rodgers. And we will talk about Aaron Rodgers in a little bit. We're not talking about the Giants. There's no need to talk about the Giants.
No.
But we will talk about the Jets and Aaron Rodgers in a little bit. Very excited to start here, though, because, JM, the football has been terrible. That's where we start. But before we get there, I just want to say thank you for the support on social media. Thank you for liking and subscribing on YouTube. Thank you for rating us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And please continue to do so. Now, let's talk about how bad football is. Because, I'm watching the college game, and I was off this Saturday, and I had a chance to really watch more of college football than I usually do because I work all day Saturday, and I don't have the chance usually to watch a lot of college football. So I'm watching a lot of college football this weekend. And let me tell you, first of all, the NFL kickoff, I saw Donald Trump say this. Donald Trump said the NFL kickoff looks terrible. It really does. It looks ugly, and it doesn't look good. That's the first thing. They should switch it back to the old kickoff. The second thing is that there are so many less flags in college, and you're not so worried about some stupid, minuscule penalty ruining a big play in college as compared to the NFL. I think that's where we start. Yeah. The offense is bad, and there's way too many penalties in comparison to what the college game is.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's a result of, okay, these guys in the NFL are more polished, so when you see something wrong, it kind of stands out because, college football is just sort of a scrum. These guys aren't professionals. I just think they're calling the games more loosely, though. I mean, in the NFL, they got all these rules now to protect the players, and that's the way college was for a while with the targeting penalty. People thought, college is too soft with this targeting penalty. Players shouldn't be ejected from the games. And now the NFL has just flown past them with all the safety stuff. And, I understand where the NFL is coming from with all these guys after they leave the NFL with, head injuries and trauma and stuff like that. But at a certain point, Mike, when we're just having a basic sack and the guy's hitting the ground and we're throwing a penalty for roughing the passer, it makes the average viewer want to flip on the college football game next weekend.
Yeah, but that's not even my problem. My problem is the illegal man downfield because Andrew Thomas is 2 yards ahead of where he's supposed to be, and there's a big play. That doesn't affect the game. That is not affecting the game in a major way. Pass interference, okay, sure. A big holding penalty, fine. But come on, man. There was this big play in the Miami-Louisville game, for example, this week, okay? And it was a huge play. Cam Ward made an unbelievable play, and it was an iffy hold call on the left tackle. Could have went either way. And the announcer said, and I had Louisville, so I was pissed they didn't call it. But then I looked on the other side of it, and I said, I still think he probably would have gotten the ball out, even if he still held him.
Right.
So the ref made a judgment call and kept it in his pocket, and it was a great finish to the game. And that big play might have switched things on the Louisville side. Now, if you're on the Louisville side, and I was, again, but if you're a fan or on that team, you're probably pissed. Right. But the big play happened, the exciting play happened, and we're missing that in the NFL right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. If we could kind of make the penalties a little bit more subjective than objective of being, okay, yeah, sure. Did he tug the jersey a little bit? Yeah. Was it 20 yards away from the play? Did it not affect the play whatsoever? Yes. All right, let's pick that flag up. I totally agree. They're getting way too flag happy. You're right. Every time there's a big play for my team or I'm watching a game on Red Zone or whatever it is and I see a big play, the first thing you think of now is, where's the flag? And I don't know. I don't remember that being a thing when I was a kid watching football.
No, I don't.
And you ask the older generation, they tell you the same exact thing.
Sorry, I'm counting.
You ask, go ask an Unc. Anybody knows an Unc out there? Yo, Unc, when you were a kid, how was football? Oh, I didn't have to worry about flags.
Not worrying about it. It's you see the yellow marker every single day. What game were we watching? We were watching the Brazil game.
Mm-hmm.
And never been in South America before, and there were a disgusting amount of penalties thrown in that football game. And we were like, these people in Brazil are probably like, what do you watch? It's just a bunch of the referees, the zebras getting together and making calls and throwing yellow flags. Yeah. That's the biggest thing.
It's terrible. It's like being, that little kid that's testing his limits. Okay, I'm gonna do this. Let me see if I can get away with it. Oh, okay, I got away with it. Let me do a little bit more. Let me do a little bit more. That's what I think these guys are doing in the NFL now. Oh, okay, I sold a little bit of a penalty there on pass interference. I didn't really have a chance to catch it, but I did a little flailing flop job. I got the penalty. All right, let me do this a little bit more. And now it's just like flop fest out there, and these guys are asking for flags, and they know exactly when the flags are going to be thrown in what scenarios. It's like another skill in the game now is being able to draw penalties.
And what about that Jet game? That Jet Bill game on Monday night was disgusting.
My God, it was horrible.
That was disgusting, the amount of flags. So they got to fix it. I don't know what the fix is. Happy it's not my job. Figure it out, Roger Goodell. But the play is terrible, and I'm going to just sit here and count one more time. The amount of 2-win or 1-win teams in the league. 1, 2, 3 in the AFC. You have one more in the AFC North. That's 4. You have 2 more in the South. That's 6. You have 1 more in the West. That's 7.
So almost half the AFC has 2 or 1 wins, and we're in week 7.
NFC East, 1 there. So we're at 8. Nobody in the North. 2 in the South. That's 10. And then you have 2 again in the West. That's 12.
So the AFC sucks, and basically the whole NFL, or more than a third of the NFL, really sucks.
Disgusting football. I mean, again, how many blowouts are we seeing?
Way too many. And I mean, you look at the numbers from year to year. Right now, we're just talking about the difference in good teams versus the bad teams. But you look at football as a whole and scoring, I think we can all agree, 2 things drive our game as being exciting, and that's close games and offense, right? I mean, I know some people, I know you yourself likes a good defensive battle once in a while, just like a baseball fan likes a good pitcher's duel once in a while. But, I mean, I'm looking at the numbers here. You got 208 yards around the league. That's what every team is averaging passing-wise. 208 passing yards is the average. 2023, it was 218. 218 again in 2022. In 2021, it was 228. In 2020, it was 240. So the passing yards are coming down every single year. It's the lowest it's ever been since 2006 right now. Points scored are down. They're only at 22 right now. You look 5 years ago in 2020, they were at 24.8. So scoring is down, passing is down. And when you're just leading boring football and boring drives and trying to run the crap out of the ball because everybody's playing too high shell, like Mel Kiper likes to talk about, it's not the most exciting product.
It's really not. I mean, the Panthers are on pace to be outscored by 300 points.
That's
their
insane.
net points, negative 133.
That's actually absurd.
Negative 133.
And they looked like they were about to get on a little run there when they beat the Raiders with Andy Dalton, and it was like, never mind.
God. And you get shellacked by half of Jaden Daniels and then Marcus Mariota.
Yeah. No, how about this? I'll tell you, when we do every week the gambling show or the podcast or whatever it is, and I'm thinking of a player to put in the thumbnail of the video, like this year I'm like, all right, week 6 props and picks, and I'm about to pick the player for the thumbnail, and I'm like, who am I gonna pick?
Yeah.
I'm like, who's having a really good year right now? I'm like, all I can think of is defensive players. Like, seriously, right now, I mean, we'll get into the player awards soon. If you had to pick an offensive player of the year, I don't know who it would be. And I'm taking quarterbacks out of it because usually you don't give it to a quarterback anyways. Who's going to be Saquon? Like, I guess he's up there now.
Yeah.
He's been doing really well. Derrick Henry maybe. But, this isn't like last year where we're, oh, wow, Tyreek Hill's got a shot to break the record for receiving yards in a season. Oh, wow, you see the year that CeeDee Lamb's having? The guy who was doing great was Nico Collins. He's on IR now. So, I mean, I guess Chris Godwin or Justin Jefferson are like the best receivers in the NFL right now, but nobody's doing anything that's popping off the page at you, and neither are the quarterbacks.
I'm watching that game yesterday, and I'm looking at numbers the other day too. Justin Jefferson, I think he might be getting to the Mike Trout level where you're like underappreciating him because there's so many other great players.
Right.
I think he's still the best receiver in the game.
Oh yeah, so do I.
I think he's still number one. And I
Although,
think other people are overlooking him a little bit.
You know what? He is. I gotta say, as a football fan, it really does suck to see Tyreek Hill just like be doing nothing because he's got Tim Boyle and Snoop Huntley on the
Tua's might be back this week.
Hopefully.
That would be good for Tyreek Hill and Tyreek Hill fantasy owners. That'd be great. Let me ask you this, and I saw this tweet. I think it was from this former scout who's like really like grouchy old guy on Twitter. His name's Chad Forbes. So I want to give him credit because this isn't my take, and I'm genuinely asking the question. He says, I'll sum it up. He feels bad for Dave Canales because Dave Canales was probably rushed into being a coach and wasn't ready. Do you think maybe, and it pushes back on something I truly believe in offensive coaching, hiring offensive coordinators to be your head coach. Do you think we're rushing the process on a few guys and there's just bad coaching around the league? Is that a potential issue that we're seeing right now?
That's not a terrible point. It could be. I mean, the NFL is a constantly evolving league, so it could be plenty of different factors. But, right now I think about some of the best coaches in the NFL. The first guy that comes to mind is Dan Campbell and the job that he's doing with the Detroit Lions. And, I mean, we talked about it last year that Ben Johnson, might be more important to that coaching staff than Campbell is himself. And that's the offensive coordinator. And that could be true, but maybe we're overlooking the importance of building a disciplined culture and a motivated culture and a team that wants to play for each other in the tight-knit locker room. We know all those things are important, but maybe we're sort of pushing that all to the side when we're talking about these hotshot coordinators that should be hired as head coaches. That could totally be the case.
Because it's important. I mean, it's important to have a really good, as good as you can offensive system. But,
I mean, yes, offensive system 100%. Culture is very important. I think about what's going on in New England right now. They're playing terrible, and we expected them to play terrible. But, this whole Gerard Mayo saga hasn't been off to the best start since training camp, and I still don't have a great feeling about it. He came out and he called his defensive players soft, and Belichick, came on Pat McAfee, I believe, one of those programs.
Yeah, he was.
And was defending the players that he coached last year, the defensive players of the Patriots, and saying, I know those guys, they're not soft. So, is Gerard Mayo trying to motivate his players there? Is he trying to cover his ass in front of the media? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, but that's not something you say. I mean, that's definitely something you keep in-house, and that's a rookie mistake from a coach. I mean, you got to keep that in-house. And, something else I don't like from Gerard Mayo, and I don't want to sound like I'm sticking up for Bill Belichick. I just have a lot of respect for him. And people around New England, and Gerard Mayo included, have blamed why they are so bad on the mistakes of Bill Belichick. And I've seen Michael Lombardi actually defend his friend Bill Belichick and say, well, you kept some of these players. Like, you kept a lot of these players. You re-signed some of these players in the offseason, and you had all the money in the offseason to spend on new players, and you decided not to. So don't complain when you had the ability to change things. And he's 100% right. So Gerard Mayo calling out his players and basically blaming the struggles of this team on Bill Belichick, who's not here anymore. It's that soft.
That is very soft. Yeah.
Gerard Mayo needs to check himself.
What is it that we see in coordinators where we're like, yep, that's what you got to do if you want to be a successful if you want to be a successful franchise, you need to hire the hotshot coordinator and get the young quarterback.
Do you remember reading that article from Schefter a couple of years ago? Like, it was already in place that Mayo was going to be the guy?
I don't even remember that. No.
Mayo was going to accept a defensive coordinator job somewhere else. But it was already in place where he was probably going to be the guy to take over. That makes sense.
I mean, if he was going to, save it, because he wasn't the DC with New England, was he?
He was the linebackers
coach. Yeah, so that makes sense.
And I think he may have actually then been DC there.
Right. But at the time, he was not.
At the time, he was not.
Yeah.
And then, but it was basically an agreement that it was going to be him. But he still interviewed for the job, and I think they interviewed other people.
Yeah, that's totally possible.
And then he got the job,
especially considering he was a lifetime Patriot. He's played for them as a player.
And remember,
Belichick was on the way out.
He was that hot shot coach.
Yeah,
he rose through their system.
What I was going to get to with that point about the hot shot coach was that's what we think is right now. the best coaches that are going to be available this offseason, potential head coaches, are those coordinators like a Kingsbury or a Ben Johnson or one of those Bobby Slowick, some of those hot shot offensive coordinators. But speaking of Bobby Slowick, like that's the point I was trying to get to was look at the Texans. The Texans hired DeMeco Ryans, who, was basically Rob Saleh 2.0 when you talk about where he came from and the position, defensive coordinator with the 49ers, both similar in build, jacked, bald guys.
Perfect.
But he goes over to Houston, and he in his first year is alongside a rookie quarterback in C.J. Stroud, and he's not known to be an offensive coach. And the Houston Texans have the best rookie quarterback since Andrew Luck or whoever else.
Might be the best ever.
Best ever. And make the playoffs. And now they're known, now I think we're also starting to learn the Texans have a damn good defense too. But I don't think there's a formula for being like, hire the really smart offensive guy. We thought that's what it was because of the way the Dolphins were trending with McDaniel. But now, things have gone a little sour with them, but injuries are, an excuse for them.
I feel bad. I actually feel bad watching him on the sideline yesterday.
Yes. But I will say, and I, it's not fair to him to say this, but it's how I feel. I do think they were going downhill already. A little bit. They weren't not like they were headed for a disastrous season with a healthy Tua, but I think that if Tua was healthy, I don't think we would be talking about the Dolphins the same way we were talking about them last year.
No, I didn't pick them to make the playoffs. I didn't like them this year, but I agree with you to an extent. It wouldn't be this ugly.
Yeah.
It's interesting though. I think you're right. I also think we probably in coaching, we would all agree that coaching is the most important in the NFL as compared to other sports. Whereas culture in baseball, maybe in the NBA, but really baseball, having a culture and a culture setter with your manager is probably his most important job.
Yeah,
and we've seen that I think this year at a premium with the managers.
Right.
But you have to do both as a coach in the NFL. And the culture is something that we don't look at. And I'll say it from a Giants perspective, a lot of people thought Daboll was going to lose the locker room last year, and that was the opposite, especially when you heard how the players voted in their player whatever after the year. They do the NFLPA voting thing, and they have all the results or whatever. And they believed in Daboll even when it got bad last year. Now, this year, it might be a different story. Yeah. But Daboll's a guy where you think he's a good offensive coordinator. You don't know. Offensive play caller, you don't know, though, for sure. He doesn't have the players. But culture is something that he's also good at, and you have to find a mix of that guy when you're picking your coach.
See, I think that at the end of the day, that's the most important thing out there. Because you could have a guy like Dan Campbell, I think he doesn't get enough credit sometimes because we just know him so much for being that rah-rah guy that they all love to play for. So we kind of forget that, he's also, he's also a good football mind. Like, we don't give him credit for that. But Dan Campbell isn't the one that's calling the plays. He's got very smart coordinators around him. So you don't need – come on. I know you like to rag on Campbell, but –
he's got probably – and it's not fair to judge him right now. But he probably has the best tandem of coordinators in the league right now.
Yeah, and I also think he has the best grip on his locker room of maybe any coach in the NFL.
That's fair.
They play, and you can see that from the product on the field. I'm not just talking about from the Lions tweeting a locker room, breakdown of the huddle video.
It's also not something we could calculate.
Yeah, exactly.
So we don't know, but we assume.
But Lions, it's coming along of being a great team. But when you go out there every week and you're seeing the same product every time and that consistency, that comes from coaching. Look at the Jets right now. Everybody wants to talk about how great they are on paper, but they can't execute on the field.
Right. No, a lot of it's listen. I give Ben Johnson a ton of credit for the job he's done, especially with Goff, who we were ready to throw Goff to the curb.
He was viewed as a consolation prize for Matt Stafford,
a bridge quarterback to the next guy, essentially. And
remember we were mocking Malik Willis to the Lions.
Yes. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. And he's winning games in the NFC North. No, but it is. It's tough to calculate how much of an impact he does make, Campbell.
100%.
But that's a good football team. We're going to talk about them in a few minutes.
We are.
Before we get to the Jets, whatever you want to call it, the MVP race, you had kind of brought it up to me. Yeah. I'm looking at the odds, and I saw this yesterday because I was in Jersey yesterday, and I wanted to place a bet on the MVP, and I didn't. I kind of forgot, but I also didn't. Mahomes is still the favorite. Even after yesterday, Mahomes is still the favorite.
Yeah.
Plus 350, plus 450, right around that range right there. Like, I don't know who I would pick to be MVP. I'll tell you one thing. You can get good odds on this. Burrow's having an incredibly underrated season right now. He's got 14 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's completing 70% of his passes. He has the highest passer rating in the league. 1,700 yards, 14 touchdowns, 2 picks.
Yeah. I mean, it is wide open right now. I mean, another guy, Jordan Love, looks like he's like, I don't know, going to have a Jameis Winston elite season. Like, he's going to throw 40 touchdowns and 30
his
picks.
pass rating's low, though.
Yeah, because he's got 8 picks and 15 touchdowns in 5 games. It's craziness.
How about your boy Baker?
I was just going to bring up Baker. Baker's having a really good year. I mean, they're playing tonight. We'll see how he does. If, by the time this airs, he could be way down or way up on that ladder.
15 touchdowns, 5 picks, 109 passes.
It's wide open, dude. The rookies, you got to put them in. Jaden Daniels, we'll see if he
Daniels
plays next
doesn't have
week.
the counting stats. 6
he-
touchdowns, 2 picks.
He doesn't, but if he keeps playing efficient football and doing it on the ground, he could definitely. Look at what Lamar did last year. He didn't have the pop off the page passing numbers.
He shouldn't have been the MVP.
But listen, if the Commanders end up winning that division, and he has numbers that are comparable with some of the top guys in the league, adding on to those and with those rushing numbers.
But if Burrow throws for 4,800 yards and 40 touchdowns and 10 picks, then
if I had
he's going to win the MVP.
If I had to pick somebody right now, I'd say it's Josh Allen.
That's my guy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Josh Allen doesn't have an interception this year.
Josh Allen does not have an interception.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so I would put my money on Josh Allen. But also, when I was talking about the rookies, you see the way Caleb Williams is playing football lately. He could fly his way up there.
I don't think he's gonna fly his way all the way up,
dude.
there.
It's wide open.
It's open. I'm not.
Nobody is like, oh my god, look at the year this guy's having. Josh Allen is the guy right now that I would pick for it. But I mean, he's got 12 touchdowns and no picks, but he's only got 108 passer rating is very good. But with 0 picks and 12 touchdowns, you would think it'd be a little bit higher. That's because the completion percentage and the yards per catch and all that stuff aren't super high, but still great numbers.
It's going to be interesting to see who wins this race.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Mike, let's move it.
Do we have to?
New York Jets. I put a video out last week, before you and Joe recorded about, Devontae can't block and Devontae can't stop the run. And it's joking and it's also serious.
It is.
And now it comes to fruition in a game that you're up 15-6. You're better. I think on paper, you're better than this team. You're not better coached. Some aspects they're better, sure. But this felt like a game, A, you had to have, and B, was winnable. It was a winnable game.
Yep. The Jets, to me, what they did, it was like, hey, I got a problem with my car. The engine, I'm leaking oil. I can barely drive the thing. I'm going to go bring it to the mechanic. You go to the mechanic, you come back, and they go, oh, how did everything go with your car? And you go, oh, good. Did they fix the engine? Oh, no, but I bought a new set of tires. That's exactly what the Jets just did with Devontae Adams. Like, there are key issues with this football team that don't allow them to put a winning product on the field. And they figure, let's do a panic move and trade for a 31-year-old receiver who, I don't want to undermine Devontae Adams' talent. He's still very talented. But that's not going to get it done. And what we saw on Sunday night was a team that was overmatched, a defense that was overmatched. And this defense hasn't been the same this year. There's no secret about it. And it's not, even when Hassan Reddick comes back, even if you get prime form Hassan Reddick, it's still not going to solve the problems because the problems with that team are from the interior in the middle of that defense. It is with the defensive linemen, and it is with that safety group that's banged up beyond belief right now.
Mike, I can't. Where's Quinn Williams? I understand he gets double teamed. Where's Quinn Williams? Yeah. Defensive line, couple of guys not defensive line. You need to improve there.
Yep.
I agree with you. I don't think Reddick comes in here and fixes all your problems, but they need Reddick to go in there and spice things up. How are they this bad against the run?
They've had that rotation of defensive linemen over the past couple of years where you had John Franklin Myers, you had Sheldon Rankins 2 years ago. He left. You had Al Jefferson. Al Jefferson was a power forward for the Hornets. You had Quentin Jefferson, and you had Al Woods. I combined both of them. And they all leave. You get rid of Franklin Myers. And then this offseason, you bring in Javon Kinlaw, who is terrible.
Supposed to be a Robert Saleh guy.
Yeah, terrible. And he's more of like an interior pass rusher. And he actually lost weight this offseason. That's great. That's what you want to hear about a defensive tackle that you want stopping the run. He's just getting washed all over the field. And I don't know where Quinnen Williams is. And they just have issues completely with this defensive front with stopping the run. And, Mike, I mean...
150 yards last night.
Terrible.
Rushing yards. Najee Harris, 5 yards a clip.
Yep. Everybody... Nobody's... The only guy that on that defense that's really, like, performing the way we expect them to is DJ Reed and Quincy Williams. That is it. And, I mean, Will McDonald's been a nice surprise.
Yes.
He's been very good.
Sauce hasn't been good.
Nope, he hasn't.
He hasn't been good. Thank God he deleted his social media, though.
He's been, he gets banged up a lot now. He's, it's finally like he's getting a little too handsy. It's starting to come back to bite him. It's just
Garrett Wilson, that drop last night.
Terrible.
Is that going to be a touchdown? It's going to be a big play.
Terrible.
And instead sets them up for a touchdown.
And Rodgers also last night. I mean, there were more than a couple of throws that was like, what the hell was that? He's not performing the way he should be.
Well, they're not running the football.
100%.
That's a problem, too.
Every single game, the Jets have the same exact script. They're like, all right, we're going to run on first down. We're going to run early in the game, establish a run that's going to open up the pass game. And it never works. And then they decide, okay, let's try to pass first and then open up the run game. But by the time they decide that, it's already too late, and the opposing defense already knows what they're onto.
Listen, we knew coming into this, nobody's an idiot. Jet fans aren't that stupid. You knew you weren't getting prime Aaron Rodgers where he could just survive with an offensive line and no run game and a shit defense. Excuse my language. You knew you couldn't get that from Aaron. You knew you weren't going to get the prime Aaron Rodgers that could take you over that hump. You have weapons now. The defense isn't playing well. He needs the running game, and he needs the offensive line.
Desperately.
And again, this isn't even a knock on him. Like, I'm not even trying to knock him, but he's set up to fail, and now he's forcing things and
he's got
playing
7
out
interceptions.
playing out of his comfort zone. Yeah, exactly. He's playing out of his comfort zone, and the things. It's not like you need to, baby him like an quarterback and everything needs to be perfect. But can it be somewhat decent for him?
Yeah. The best that this Jets offense has looked is in the 2-minute drill. That'd be great if he could run 2 minutes all the time, but we all know that's not a style of football that's sustainable. Right. But the best that they've looked is, okay, Rodgers is basically playing 7-on-7 out there, getting rid of the ball quick, hitting open receivers, and driving down the field. You can't do that every single drive. You can't have a 2-minute drill every single drive. So they got no run game. Breece Hall is basically being weighted. You see what happens when you could put Breece Hall in space when he ripped off that, 50-something yard catch against the Steelers.
Right.
They can't get their guys in space, and this offense is just extremely one-dimensional and just brutal to watch, and there's no execution whatsoever.
Now, I'm looking
it's
at
wraps, bro. Don't put
I'm
the
looking at the rest
away.
of the schedule.
It's wrapped
I'm looking
up.
at the rest of the schedule.
It's wrapped up. 2-5.
You're 2-5.
Yeah, start playing for the number 1 pick at this point.
Jesus, wow. Thank God you have the Yankees.
Thank God I do have the Yankees. And I told myself after the Jets game Sunday night, I'm oh my God. So I texted my brother like, nobody was around. I was watching the game by myself. I was like, thank God I was, because some of the things I was yelling at the TV and throwing, and I'm throwing.
You're a thrower? I'm not a thrower.
I'm a thrower. I'm a thrower. I throw stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just bad. And I'm like, you can't let them upset you because your team's in the World Series. So I made that deal with myself.
I was thinking about that last night. I was like, you know what? Because I felt bad for you. And you're one of the only Yankee fans. I got like 3 Yankee fans in my life that I'm happy for. And the rest, I hope you burn. Yeah. But I was thinking last night, I'm like, he's not that lucky. Right. I was like, when they were losing that bad, I'm like, you're not that lucky.
Right.
You got one, you're not having the other.
Exactly. I got to get brought back down to earth. But listen, dude, it's.
No, we're going to go through this. We're going to go through this. We're going to go through this. Essentially, you need to be 10-7 to make the playoffs, right? Tough
I
AFC.
think in this AFC, I think you're going to get in at 9-8.
Okay.
I think you could get in at 9-8.
You're 2-5. But lock 10-7 gets in. Let's go with the 10-7 for right now.
We'll go
lock
with the 10-7.
Lock.
So they need to go 8-2.
You gotta go 8-2. Can they go 8-2 here?
Oh yeah, bro.
Or 7 or 7-3.
No.
We'll go through it. Let's go.
All right.
Patriots Sunday.
They'll win
That better be a win. That better be a win.
They should win
that.
that.
Better be a win.
Let me reel that back. Yeah.
All right, so 3-5. Home short week Texans. I don't think they win that game.
No.
I
How
genuinely
can you
don't.
possibly right now have the confidence to say that the New York Jets are going to win that game?
I don't think they win that game.
No.
Okay. At the Cardinals. You don't feel great, but you probably should win the game. You don't feel great. It's not an easy win, but I'm going to give them a win. It's not easy. It's not Patriots easy. Close game, they win.
All right, fine.
Close game, they win. 2-1.
I honestly don't have the confidence, but sure.
2-1. Great. Now we're coming home. We're home cooking now. Colts Sunday Night Football.
That one you should win.
You should win that game.
Your team's the thing that's bugged you the whole season has been you can't stop the run, you can't set up the run. Well, the good thing is the Colts can't stop the run either. So at least you'll have a run fest with them, and maybe that'll open up the offense for them.
If Joe Flacco's playing quarterback, they're probably going to win.
Yeah.
But if it's Richardson, win.
If the Colts are going to the Colts will win with Joe Flacco. Yes. And that's a Joe Flacco revenge game.
That's a Joe Flacco revenge game. Geno Smith revenge game.
Where is that?
At MetLife.
All right, I'm going to be at that game. You're going to be at that game.
Yes, December 1st.
Mike, this is crazy, bro.
That
sure,
could be
win.
But that could be a loss.
They're not going to win though. Like we're saying, win for the sake of entertainment. They're going to be like 2-2, 3-2, whatever they are.
Oh, listen, I agree with you. They're not going to make the playoffs. I think they're probably.
Ahead.
I agree with you because.
So what do we got them? What, ripping 4 out of 5 here now?
That would be 4 out of 5.
Okay,
but
sure.
they probably. You know what? I'm going to give them a loss in one of those games.
Okay, so they're 3-2.
3-2. I'm going to one of those games. I don't know.
So
which
now we're
one.
at 5-7.
You're 5-7.
Great.
At Miami in December.
That's Tua Dolphins.
That's Tua Dolphins potentially. That's a tough game. That could be a loss.
I'm gonna say a loss.
Okay, you're 3-3. At Jacksonville, 4-3.
For Christ's sake, win.
Home against the Rams. What do they look like? Have they traded anybody? I'm gonna
say win.
We're gonna give win.
Say win.
What are we? 6-3.
5-3.
5-3. At Buffalo, December 29th.
Loss.
That's a loss.
5-4.
And then home to Miami, January 5th.
We'll say win. They'll say they split with the Dolphins. So you're 6-4 to end the year. You're 8-9.
Yeah, it's probably that's probably about right.
And Mike, that feels like a bit of best case optimism.
That is a lot of optimism.
And you're 8-9. So now it's the perfect Jets season. You miss the playoffs. You miss out on a high draft pick. It's just enough not to get everybody fired.
No, I think if you miss the playoffs, it's a clean house.
Yeah, it should be. Douglas included.
Douglas is fired. But by the way, Douglas Woody Johnson cut his balls off last week anyway.
Yeah.
So Woody Johnson is the main issue here.
Woody
it's not
Johnson,
even Douglas.
Exactly. I texted my brother this morning. I said the Jets need to move to Berlin, rebrand their franchise, sell it, and do something else. I don't know. Move the team overseas.
Woody wants to do that probably.
Do the whole thing.
Woody ambassador.
Yeah.
England.
Oh yeah.
Send him back. Look, Chris Johnson's worse because he hired Adam Gase. So which one's worse?
Douglas. I mean, I'm honestly out on him. Because I was a defender of him saying he put a winning quality team out there. But, I mean, I think I could put a winning quality team if you just told me, hey, you're just going to trade all draft capital and just spend money like a nut job and whatever.
He drafted really well.
He had really good draft.
Okay, fair.
The Sauce, Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, that class, very good draft.
Got Vera Tucker, who can't stay healthy. Good player when he's healthy. I guess you got to be out on him. I guess you probably have to.
You already swung and missed on a quarterback.
You swung and missed on an obvious quarterback who's going to cost you a ton of money in the end. And the owner.
I'm talking about Zach Wilson. But
okay. The owner's not going to be happy about this.
No.
Because the owner, it might not go against the cap, but the owner, and I listened to Tiki Barber talk about this, and this goes for all quarterbacks, when it's like non-guaranteed money or whatever, forget how, the guaranteed money, he has to, even though it's not going against the cap, he has to sign that. He has to put that in a bank account for Rodgers. So what is it, like $90 million or something like that? Rodgers getting paid a ton by this owner. He's not going to be happy about that. Douglas probably fine.
Might be time to sell it, Woody.
Woody's got to go. The Wilpons were bad. Okay, the Wilpons were really bad, but they were forced into some things, like the Madoff stuff. They were still really bad ownership. I think Woody takes the cake for New York ownership right now.
I think he does too. And can I just say that I know we're talking about football here, but being a Jets fan is worse than being a Mets fan.
I would agree with that. Yes.
And I don't even, I know you could pull that might be recency bias card, but like
no,
the New York Mets have made a World Series more recently, or made a championship way more recently.
Yes.
Made the playoffs way more recently. By the way, they've done both of those since the Jets have even made the playoffs. Won a championship more recently. So
I'd have to go through how many times the Jets have made the playoffs. Do you know that off the top of your head? Because the Mets 11 in 62 years. That's the only thing.
It's probably not more than that.
Because when the Mets go to the playoffs, most of the time, if they actually go on runs like this,
right?
They do go on like crazy runs, except 22 and 16.
Let's see. 2010, 2009, 2006, 2004, 2002, 2001, 1998, 1991, 1986, 1985, 1982, 1981.
Yes, they've definitely been to the
1969
playoffs.
and 1968.
They've been to the how many years is that?
They've been to playoffs way more time. That was about 15.
Okay. And when did the Jets start as a franchise?
10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, like 15. The Jets started they were one of those AFL teams. They started at the beginning of the NFL.
So what year is that? 60?
1967, whenever that started.
All right, yeah. So you have more playoff experiences,
yeah,
but more success with
When was the last time the Mets won the NL East?
It's 15.
15, right. Jets haven't won the AFC since 2002.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. I would agree.
Yeah.
I'll give it to you.
Thank you.
It's better to be a Mets fan than a Jets fan.
Yes.
But
I'm more miserable than you.
But most fans aren't like this.
No.
This is like I feel like the Jet Yankee fan is the most uncommon.
Oh, 100%.
Out of any New York tandem.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm a little weird Mets Giants, but it's not that bad.
That's not that bad. Yankees Jets. It's a
rare.
Handful.
I know maybe.
I don't know many from our hometown. I really don't.
I know maybe a handful. It's crazy.
Of our close friends.
I don't know any of them.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Sucks.
Whatever.
Jets.
Here's the 50 more years of misery.
Though you just know, and this is how I feel about the Mets. Just one day, and it's going to be similar. The day you get it, man. It's going to be unreal. The day you go on the first run. Yeah. When you go on the first run, I've seen two at least now. Two crazy ones. You go on the first run.
Put the championship shirt on my tombstone.
Yeah, wow. Very negative there. Mike, two teams that I think will be getting one soon. The Lions and the Vikings.
Yeah.
These are the two best teams in the NFC, right?
Yes.
Right here, 1-2. Vikings beat the Packers in Green Bay. I think the Vikings are still over Green Bay right now, although a very impressive defensive performance last week against Stroud. But either way, these are the two best teams. Kind of feels like the Lions are just going to walk into the Super Bowl at this point.
It does. I don't think that's actually going to happen.
No,
I think
not.
For right now, yes. They played them tough, the Vikings. I mean, I was sweating that a lot. I had that game on my board.
Yeah, we were opposite.
And
there.
I bet it pretty heavily. And I was like, crap, the Vikings had me sweating. I was thinking in the first quarter, what am I thinking? They came off the bye. They're more prepared, blah, blah, blah. And obviously, that's not how it ended up going.
I chalked it up as a win, by the way, in my head.
You did?
10-0.
Oh, no.
I go, this is going to be a rout. And I was so wrong.
Oh, you got the Bucks tonight, at least. They could save.
I don't even want. I'm not betting.
Yeah,
I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm done.
No, but they're two really good teams. Minnesota still looks good. I think Green Bay's going to end up passing them. I actually said on the podcast last week, my hot take was that the Vikings were going to finish last in the division, and then I kind of backpedaled a little bit, saying, maybe they'll finish over the Bears, but I don't expect them to finish in the top two in this division. I know that might be a little nuts, but the Packers look real good right now. I think that teams are going to start to figure out the Vikings more and more as the weeks go on, and I expect this to be between the Packers and the Lions.
That's how I felt last week. Like, that's how I felt watching the rest of the Lion game after the first quarter. I'm like, well, maybe Johnson's just that good of a coach where he's figuring out this Brian Flores. I'm not even giving the credit to Goff, but Goff played amazing in the game. Maybe they figured it out, the Flores scheme that Purdy and Rodgers and all these great quarterbacks that played them couldn't do somehow, some way. I found that to be very interesting while watching the game. I think Darnold kind of has his limits, although he didn't. The one thing about Darnold is that I don't think he's killing them like with turnovers yet.
Right.
He's not doing that yet. The second he starts doing that, then I'll start to not believe in them.
Right.
But if he's not making the big mistakes and he's just throwing the ball where it has to go, where O'Connell tells him to throw the ball,
Yeah.
they're probably going to be fine.
Yeah. I mean, if they could end up being a version of the 49ers,
Yeah.
and, I think we can all agree Brock Purdy, in the Super Bowl year last year, played at a high level, but they didn't exactly ask him to do Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen level things. So if Sam Darnold could have the same approach and, play a Jared Goff style, they could certainly make some noise. But like I said, I do think that as they go on, I think you're going to get figured out more and more. And it's a very good football team, and I don't want to undermine them. And they deserve to be they're going to be a playoff team. They're going to be a team that I wouldn't want to run into in the playoffs. But I really think that the Packers and the Lions are just two of like the top 5 teams in the NFL at the end of the season. And I don't see the Vikings as a top 5.
And it's such an impressive place to go and play. That is a tough place to play. Mm-hmm. And they did. I mean, Goff was almost perfect yesterday.
Yep. Again.
88% of his passes completed.
And I mean, that Gibbs move. Mm-hmm. I mean, that guy is just ridiculous.
Gibbs finally breaks out.
Yep.
He hasn't had a great start to the season. He finally breaks out here. Montgomery was banged up a little bit. He fumbled, too. Cost him a touchdown. Mm-hmm. Really, that brought them back. It looked like it was a blowout. Like, it looked like it was going to be a blowout for Minnesota. Mm-hmm. Then Detroit storms back, and I'm like, oh, Detroit's going to blow them out.
They're going to blow, yeah.
And then the fumble happens. Touchdown. Oh, you got a game.
Yeah. But that's the scary thing about the Lions. We were just talking about Gibbs. Like, we're used to that tandem of Gibbs and Montgomery, and it's actually gone the opposite way than what we expected it to go since Montgomery's gotten there. Montgomery's actually emerged more and more as time's gone on. But he goes down with the injury, and, Gibbs steps up, looks like, an all-pro running back making cuts and jukes all around the field. And it's like, yeah, we're good.
Yeah, they're impressive. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown has been kind of to start the year as well. He breaks out. Almost dropped the microphone there. They run the ball at an insane clip. The offensive line's still great. They're going to miss Hutchinson.
Mike, if I'm Brad Holmes, I'm calling the Las Vegas Raiders and saying,
how many first rounds? How many first rounds you giving? You giving 3?
How many years of control does he have? Do you know off the top of your head?
I'm going to check right now for you.
If it's more than 1, I'm not giving 3. I'm giving I'm giving 2. I'm giving 2 first-round picks. Because what are those first-round picks going to be also? Late 20s, you're hoping they're in the 30s, 32nd overall.
2027, he's a free agent.
Yeah. Take 3.
Taking the contract, too. They paid him.
That we could get into.
4 years, 94. It's not bad.
You want
us
to take the contract?
It's not bad. You could survive that. You got to pay Hutchinson at some point.
You can survive it.
You could survive this 23 a year. It's not.
I mean, that defense has players on it. Obviously, Brian Branch is looking like an all-pro right now, but they do need that elite pass rusher that was supposed to be Aiden Hutchinson. You got to do whatever you got to do to get Max Crosby because their time to win is right now.
And then next year, could you imagine that?
That's ridiculous.
You can't block that. You literally can't block that.
You could go out, get Max Crosby, win a Super Bowl, and then go into next year saying, "Oh, look,
we're the favorite."
We're getting Aiden
that
Hutchinson.
would, for me, and this is maybe a crazy thing to say because Kansas City's defense is so good,
Mm-hmm.
and the second Mahomes, because I still believe Mahomes and the offense will figure it out. If they did that this year, I think, or maybe with next year when they have both of them. Mm-hmm. I would have them as the favorite over the Chiefs. As good as the Chiefs are, with any improvement they make, getting Rasheed back and whatever they do, they would be the favorite for me with those two on the outside. Because to me, that's their weakness right now. Going into the year, and then now, especially with Hutchinson out, their biggest weakness to me is their defensive front.
I like this idea.
I don't think he has the balls to do it. I don't think he has the ball. I don't think
he does.
I think it's too fantasy football.
I don't know, man. I think just screw it. Screw what other people think. I think they should.
I think it's too much.
49ers are now saying that McCaffrey has a good chance to play after next week's bye week.
That
would be November.
He's back. November 10th.
Yep.
Back after the bye. Good for McCaffrey. He went to Germany to find out he has nothing. Prayers, 49ers, Deebo Samuel's been hospitalized due to pneumonia and lung fluid. There's no timetable for his return. So he was really sick yesterday.
Oof, the 49ers, I mean, that's our next topic here with the NFC West.
Yes. Let's get to that.
You know, who's going to win the division right now? I guess Seattle would be the pick because everything is just going bad for this 49ers team. It's unfortunate, but you just said that about Deebo. I just said that about McCaffrey coming back in not for another couple weeks, and Ayuk just tore his ACL and MCL.
Let's say this. Let's say my Los Angeles Rams.
Your Los Angeles Rams.
They win a football game on Thursday Night Football against the Minnesota Vikings. They're 3-4.
Wow.
You're right back in that division.
That's a big ask.
You're right back in that division.
Well, let's say the Arizona Cardinals beat the Chargers tonight.
They also are back in the division.
You're back in it.
What's their record? Hold on, let me see their record.
I think they're 2-4.
Yeah, damn it. I can't run with my I want to be right about the Rams because I'm not really wrong. I'm not right and I'm not wrong because
really
the division's not that great.
Them, man. I don't. Yeah, but they're not a good football team.
Okay, my 49er take
a banged up Raiders whatever QB carousel and they beat them by 5 points.
Okay, give me credit for this. The 49er take was right. They're clearly
49er take was right. Yes.
I just picked the wrong team to overtake them.
Because we're talking about injuries right now, but they also haven't been playing well healthy. Like that defense is not the defense that we're used to seeing.
I also don't want to hate on my guy Brock, but he's not playing. He's not playing.
He's not playing well.
He's not playing. And he played a really good defense yesterday. I mean, again, we can't really underestimate. We cannot talk enough about how good of a job Steve Spagnuolo's done with that defense and how great they are. But he didn't play well. The Purdy narrative, not good. I don't trust Seattle.
Are we going to talk about with the Kansas City Chiefs, and you're talking about Steve Spagnuolo, when are we going to admit that Andy Reid has been more important to this dynasty than Patrick Mahomes? When are we going to talk about that?
I'm not.
It's Belichick and Brady all over again. It's the debate all over again.
But it's the same side of the ball, so you're not going to have that. You're not going to have the debate.
Yeah, but because Reid would tell you Reid's an offensive coach and everything, but like he's the head coach. He's not an offensive coordinator.
Yeah, but he's calling the plays, is he not?
Yeah, but he's still. It doesn't mean he has nothing to do with leading the team.
No, but I think when you have Steve Spagnuolo, you can kind of say, hey, he's not involved in the. I don't think he's as involved in the defense when you have a Hall of Fame coordinator. You don't know, but my assumption would be Spags got defense. That would be my assumption.
We also need to remember who developed Patrick Mahomes. That's Andy Reid.
Okay, yeah, but we're never going to have this debate because it's never going to be a thing because both of them are just going to give each other. They're just going to give each other credit.
Right.
This isn't going to be Belichick saying, I could do this without him because I'm the greatest defensive coach of all time.
And then you technically took Mac Jones to the playoffs.
He did. People don't give him enough credit for that.
Yeah.
Belichick still.
And now the Patriots are just like a fold over and whatever team. They just roll over for you.
Listen, pause. I think Mahomes is still the most talented guy I've ever seen play the position.
Nope.
And
close.
Okay, fine. So
he's close.
If he's not one, he's two.
Yes.
Okay.
It's Rodgers for me, and that's not. I mean, Rodgers. Right now, I want to punch Rodgers in the face, but I'm talking about Packers Rodgers.
Right, and it's tough because he still has this natural ability. But yes, Reid developed him into the guy he is. I still am not worried about him. 6 touchdowns, 8 interceptions.
No, I'm not worried. Right.
They're going to figure it out. Again, Brady. Remember Brady? I looked back on this, I think, 2 weeks ago. There were a couple years in the middle of the dynasty, in the middle where they were dominant.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't have the greatest offensive seasons. This is the last 2 years are probably going to be that for Mahomes.
That's when Max Kellerman was going on First Take saying he's going to fall off the cliff.
Right, and that's also when Belichick was like, hey, I can replace him.
Right.
And actually tried to.
Yeah.
And said I could do it without him.
Yeah.
And he probably would have with Jimmy G.
Yeah.
I think they would have won a Super Bowl with Jimmy G.
Yep.
With those defenses, they probably would have won. They definitely would have. But yeah, just quickly back on the NFC West, I mean, I guess I trust Seattle.
I don't.
No, I don't.
And Geno looks great. Like it's not like they're playing crappy football. Like they had a really easy schedule to start the year, and then they kind of like shut some people up us including with that win over Atlanta on Sunday.
They blew them out.
But, I mean, it's one win. And what I saw against Seattle, against San Francisco, and what I saw against the Giants is a bit more of what I think of this football team than what we saw against Atlanta.
They could win a bad division if the 49ers don't turn it on or the Rams don't turn it on.
If I had to bet, I would still put my money on San Francisco.
Yeah, I would too. Because
and it's going to be ugly.
Do they need to trade for a receiver? Because Debo's sick right now, but Debo will be back in 2 weeks. So
who are you going to get? You're not going to trade for Cooper Kupp within your division.
No.
So, I mean, Adams is gone. Cooper's gone.
The
Jets are like, oh yeah, well, screw it, we suck. Here's Adams.
I got a guy.
Is he a Giant?
Darius Slayton.
Yes, Darius Slayton will move the needle for the San Francisco 49ers. Breaking news.
He could.
Stop.
He definitely could.
Please
All right, JM. It's time for Hate Club.
All right, my Hate Club. Darius Slayton moving the needle.
He
for
could.
any team.
He could. He moves the needle for the Giants. That's for sure.
Mike,
take it away.
All right. Thank you, bro.
Yeah.
My Hate Club. This is really specific. My Hate Club is Tim Boyle being in the NFL. I don't know. I really don't understand what blackmail this guy has, whose private parts he has saved on his phone in the NFL, of what high-standing official or what it is. But this man continues to get a job in the NFL and start games and come into games. I don't understand. It's like wherever he goes, he's just like, oh, yeah, somebody got hurt. I'm here. He's pulling some sort of sorcery. The Dolphins, I didn't even know he was on the Dolphins. Snoop Huntley came in for an injured Tua. Snoop Huntley gets hurt. Tim Boyle's in the game. Tim Boyle, in his career, 24 games, 1,237 passing yards, 1 touchdown, and 13 interceptions. Wait. Those are his college statistics.
Wow.
Those are his statistics in college.
Oh, I remember this.
What am I talking about? He came from a prestigious program, the Connecticut Huskies, a.k.a. UConn.
Yeah.
Well-known football program, UConn. And then he goes to the NFL, and he's got 4 touchdowns and 12 picks and an 0-5 record as a starter. Tim, I'm sorry that you're the subject of the hate club, but it's really mind-boggling that you're in the NFL, and this is coming from a Jets fan that had to watch you play football last year and then wash my eyes out with bleach. Mike, I don't understand who he's got blackmail against and how he's in the NFL and how he lied on his resume, but I would love to take some tips because maybe I'll be like the CEO of Microsoft if I could take the Tim Boyle approach.
Yeah, Tim Boyle. I remember when he started games for them. That became when he started games for the Jets last year. Mm-hmm. That became a thing where his college numbers were made viral, and he went to UConn and they were really bad. Yep. That's good. Good for Tim.
Good for Tim Boyle
for staying employed. Yeah, let's say that. You got unemployed people out there, and Tim is employed.
He's not part of the demographic of unemployed people.
That's what it is. All right, Mike, I'm switching up my hate club, okay? It's an argument that I've had for 6 years now.
Okay.
7 years. No, 6 years.
Okay.
Saquon Barkley seems like a great guy. Okay? What do you think?
I don't know. I'm scared.
Okay. By the way, before I got to tell you something. After I say this, I found out something about Saquon Barkley.
Oh.
At the casino this weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where you find out stuff.
Okay.
Drunk guy next to you.
No. It was a dealer.
Oh.
Yeah, serious. It's confirmed.
All right.
Sources. But I can't have the argument anymore, okay? Just because Saquon Barkley destroyed the Giants for 10 yards a carry on Sunday, okay, doesn't mean the Giants should have signed him. I still stand by the fact that they did not bring him back. And today, you got to hear about it because the Giants' offense is incompetent without Andrew Thomas, and they just stink. You got to hear that the Giants made a mistake not bringing Saquon Barkley back. No, they made the right decision because their roster is not ready to pay a running back $15 million a year. Because he's killing it in Philadelphia like everybody knew he would, doesn't mean Joe Shane and the Giants screwed up, okay? They screwed up in a lot of different ways, but paying Saquon Barkley would have been another screw-up. I don't know if I should say this on it, Mike, or not.
Don't do it then.
It's not bad. I'm gonna say it. So I'm talking to this dealer.
No, don't say it. Wait.
Don't say it.
Don't say it.
All right.
Don't say it. I don't want to get.
If JM thinks
if
it's
anybody
appropriate,
would like to hear it, please contact us personally, and we will tell you what he's talking about. Right
next, if JM says, "Oh, it's not that bad," because it's really not.
Right. Then we'll say it next episode.
I'll say it next episode.
Okay.
Interesting. Respect to Saquon Barkley. All right. Are we overreacting to things or no?
You're not. No, we're not overreacting to things. You're not wrong though. Love your point. How can you watch the Giants? Like, what do we think? Saquon all of a sudden came to Philadelphia and he was like, "Oh, I just discovered this ability that I'm this great running back and I'm going to have this great year this year." Like, no, he's always been that good. He just wasn't able to do it with the Giants because they had a crappy offensive line and an incompetent offense. The Philadelphia Eagles have a great offensive line. They've got great weapons on the outside. They've got a quarterback who we think is great but hasn't been playing great lately. And he's thriving in a good offense. That's all it is. There's no. They made the right decision by not re-signing that guy. They should have never drafted him.
A.J. Brown, probably their most valuable player.
Yeah, he's ridiculous.
Everything for that team. All right, JM, that's going to do it. Episode 147 in the books. We will talk to you guys for the gambling show, which I have work to do there. It's really brutal.
Yeah, I got to ask you what your standings are. I don't think they're great.
I don't even want to know. No. I got screwed by half a point.
Yeah, that's bad luck, Mike. That's tough for you, bro.
Then we lose the game to the Vikings there.
Never went to your WNBA game. Congratulations to the Liberty.
Congratulations, Liberty. I could have went to game.
I went to the game when they won the championship.
Game 5. I know. We'll get there next year.
Yeah, okay.
The season starts soon. And that'll do it. Episode 147 in the books. Talk to you guys later in the week.